Welcome to Biz Wire. I'm Joseph Nordstrom in Beijing. China has offered Sri Lanka about $2.2 billion in loans for infrastructure projects and a free trade pact, moves that could stoke fresh unease in India about Beijing's expanding influence in its neighborhood. Located just off of India's southern tip, the island of 21 million has become a visible front in the competition between the Asian giants, where mutual suspicion and commercial ambition have led to a race for construction projects. China and Sri Lanka agreed on $1.5 billion in private sector investment in the Northern Express Highway, which links Kandy in the central part of Sri Lanka to Jaffna in the north. Officials from the two sides also agreed on the extension of a railway, the Southern Highway, and the development of the Port of Colombo, the country's capital. Similar port developments from Myanmar to Pakistan have raised Indian fears about Chinese political and military influence, as China and India have long-standing border disputes where tensions were stoked earlier in the month. Sri Lanka's location, astride an ancient and lucrative trade route in the Indian Ocean, makes it of strategic commercial and military interest to Washington, New Delhi, and Beijing. Now, that, some analysts theorize, make it a prime part of China's so-called string of pearls strategy to surround India and project its presence by setting up coaling stations under commercial auspices at port after port in the Indian Ocean. So far, the weapons of influence have been financial. India and China have both funded huge chunks of Sri Lanka's $6 billion post-war overhaul of roads, railways, ports, and power plants. The loans offered by China to Sri Lanka were signed earlier in the week on Tuesday, along with several other agreements, while the Sri Lankan president was on a 4-day trip to China, which ends today. China and Sri Lanka have also agreed on cooperation related to defense, including training, logistics, and maritime security, and have also agreed to establish in principle a free trade agreement. Last year, bilateral trade totaled $2.68 billion, up almost 20% from 2011. China's Premier Li Keqiang said China will support Sri Lanka to develop capabilities in satellite communication, space technology, and maritime industries. Sri Lanka's new government-backed telecommunications satellite operator, SupremeSat, yesterday said it had signed a $215 million contract with China's commercial satellite and rocket sales organization for the construction and launch of a satellite in mid-2016. Sri Lanka becomes the latest developing nation to purchase a telecommunications satellite from China. The deal follows a similar satellite contract signed last November with the Democratic Republic of Congo. Previous satellite in-orbit delivery contracts were signed with the governments of Nigeria, Venezuela, Pakistan, and Laos. The satellite deal is one of several high-profile infrastructure projects that the Export-Import Bank of China has been financing in Sri Lanka. The $59 billion economy has increasingly relied on China for financing and technical expertise for reconstruction projects following the end of its long civil war in May 2009. Unlike India, China has not criticized the Sri Lankan government for alleged human rights violations during the final stages of the war, when a UN panel said tens of thousands of civilians, mostly Tamils, were killed. This is Biz Wire on the Blue Ocean Network. Stay tuned and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more in economic insight.